The first non-American to fly on a mission to the moon is Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen. Spend any amount of time with him and you can most certainly appreciate his dry sense of humor.
Yeah, Canada did get more than its fair share of the volume on this mission by assigning me to this. And I've heard it acknowledged many times, so I'm getting a little bit conscious about my size.
Pump Bravo. Center.
Towering at more than 6 feet tall, Hansen's journey to the Orion spacecraft and his first mission to space began when he was a kid.
I grew up on a farm outside of London, Ontario, and for some reason I was interested in aviation as a young child, and I specifically remember opening up Encyclopedia A, which is a book before we had the internet, and looking in there for airplanes, but coming across Armstrong, Neil Armstrong, the first human to walk on the moon, and a picture of a human standing on the moon. And it still burnt, that page is still burnt in my brain. And from there on forward, I changed my treehouse into a rocket ship. I had dials, I had gauges, I was going on space missions. I've been inspired by space exploration from an early age. And so this really is full circle for me. It's kind of where it began, going back to the moon.
Growing up on that farm in Ontario, Canada, in 1988, 12-year-old Jeremy joined the 614 Royal Canadian Air Cadet Squadron and earned his Air Cadet glider pilot wings 4 years later. By 17 years old, he had his private pilot's license and was accepted into the Royal Military College, St. John. By 1999, he graduated with a degree in honors space science from the Royal Military College of Canada in Kingston, Ontario.
After finishing my bachelor's degree, there was a delay in pilot training, so I decided to stay at the college and pursue a master's degree, which really was excellent timing for me.
And I was able to finish that before I moved on to pilot training. I received my military wings, and then I asked to be a fighter jet pilot. And so I moved to Cold Lake, Alberta, and started training on the CF-18. All of my fighter pilot career was actually spent in Cold Lake.
Hansen's next big leap in life was being selected in 2009 as one of 2 new recruits to join the Canadian Astronaut Recruitment Campaign. He trained as part of NASA's 2009 astronaut class, nicknamed the Chumps. Among those classmates, future Artemis II crewmate Reid Wiseman. After graduating from astronaut training in 2011, Hansen began working as a Capcom in Mission Control Center Houston, one of the voices between the ground and the International Space Station.
Cool heads prevailed, and your preparation really showed. So nice work to both of you, and a debt of gratitude from the whole team.
Hansen's leadership skills continued to foster when, in 2013, he served as the commander for an underground training exercise organized by the European Space Agency called CAVES.
This expedition for us is very similar to life on the International Space Station because we're doing science in this cave on behalf of scientists who aren't here. And on Space Station, the exact same thing happens.
Hansen went on to participate in an underwater expedition called Nemo 19 in 2014, and then became the first Canadian to lead a NASA astronaut class. That was the 2017 astronaut class named the Turtles.
An F-18 pilot and a Canadian astronaut. Your mission specialist, Jeremy Hansen.
Perhaps the biggest moment in his career so far, though, was being selected for his first spaceflight, Artemis II. Like his colleagues on the mission, Hansen recognizes the importance of this mission in the overall Artemis architecture.
We're very clear on our mission. We are just a stepping stone on taking humanity back to the surface of the moon. So what we're, as a crew, most looking forward to is executing successfully to set up our future colleagues for success so they can go back and take humanity to the surface of the moon. So that's really important to us, and we try to filter everything we're doing through that lens. What can we do with this mission to make it better for the future missions? We think a lot about that, and even if it doesn't specifically apply to our mission, we're trying to put ourselves in the shoes of the future crews. So that's super important that we have that approach as a team. How do we buy down risk and get ready for these future missions? Me personally, Jeremy Hansen, I've never left planet Earth. I'm excited to do that. I'm really excited to see the moon up close. I'm super excited to view the Earth. It's so obvious to me that my colleagues that have been to space, it really had just a profound impact on them. It's a beautiful experience. I think it's a real privilege as a human to have that opportunity. I'm looking forward to just looking out the window a little bit.
Artemis 2 marks the first time that humans will leave low Earth orbit since Apollo 17 in 1972. It's also the first time that a non-American will venture into deep space.
And to my fellow Canadians, you should also be extraordinarily proud that we are represented in the Artemis program. And it wasn't a gift, you earned it. For over decades now, you have responded to that call, to that opportunity with a can-do attitude, and you have used strategic investments, and you have innovated and created things like Canadarm and many other examples that have put us in this position where we can earn our place on the global stage. And that's extraordinary. That is our can-do attitude.
The mission itself is roughly 10 days long upon leaving the planet, but Hansen and his colleagues believe Artemis 2 can be more powerful than just a week and a half on a calendar.
When I think about the four of us flying around the far side of the moon, coming around, seeing that Earth rise, taking images and video and sending them back to you, the feeling that I have inside is hope. I just imagine when that is going to be like. And we know that Artemis 2 is not the solution for humanity on planet Earth, but it is a contribution in the positive column. We hope that just for a moment that people will pause and say, wow, it's extraordinary when you look back upon the Earth with over 8 billion people. And you see this concrete example of what humanity can do, this extraordinary thing when we set big goals and we work together to achieve them.
Reporting for Spaceflight Now, I'm Will Robinson Smith.